Oops, excuse me. Sorry, my microphone was mute. So, welcome to our ceremonies for the YHCA Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers program. We are so excited for our awards ceremony. My name is Sid Wilson. I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer at the Hispanic Association on Corporate Responsibility, also known as HACED. And this is one of our programs that we are so incredibly proud of for the success of our young Hispanic corporate achievers. Um, we have been doing this program since 2007. And over that time, we have had over 400 leaders go through this program. I want to first acknowledge all of the alumni that have gone through our Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers program over the years and where they are today. This program has produced more Latino executive leaders than any other leadership advancement program in the country. And that kind of track record is just incredible when you see how many have risen into executive roles after going through this program, some that have gone into the highest levels, and even a few that have gone on to become chief executive officers. It speaks a lot not only of the program and the content, but also the networking and collaborations that that this program produces. The Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers program is a admissions-based program, and we did that intentionally to make sure that that the attendees are not only getting the experience but the attention and also the opportunity to network. This year's class was very special for us because due to the pandemic, we put together our program virtually. And of course, I want to thank the whole team for helping to make this a very successful 2021 class for our cohort of our Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers. By the way, forgive the noise in the background. I'm near a fire department. So, but I want to also share why this is so close and dear to the mission of HACED. At the Hispanic Association on Corporate Responsibility, our mission is to advance Hispanic inclusion in corporate America. And we recognize that while we are working with our nearly 100 corporate partners to really change and improve the culture of advancing Hispanic inclusion, we also know that we want to be part of that solution, including creating pipeline development programs that we do. For example, our executive programs that happened yesterday, today, many of our other initiatives that we do throughout the year. But this program, because this is our Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers program, this is our High Potentials program. And so we're just super proud of this. But one of the things that we recognize is that we want to also make sure that we are also expanding the pipeline. That's why I'm happy to announce that for the first time, beginning in 2022, we're actually going to double the capacity of our cohorts for our Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers program. But while doing it, while maintaining that intimate experience that has made this such a special initiative and program. Again, part of that goal to help our young Hispanic leaders who are looking to rise up the corporate ladder, who've been nominated by their companies because they have been chosen by the companies because of the fact that they are considered high potentials. And so we hope that everyone sees a press release that we put out this morning announcing this year's cohort of our Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers program. And throughout the ceremonies, we encourage everyone to make sure that you are sharing via social media, use the hashtag HACED events, and also HACED YHCA, so that we can make sure that we're keeping track of what we're doing with our programs. I do want to take a moment to recognize an alumnus who sadly we lost last month. Her name is Monica Martinez. Monica was member of the 2008 Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers. She rose up the ranks within Comerica and was just an incredibly inspiring Latina that was a C-suite executive within Comerica, but also someone that cared about making sure that she was giving back to the community, serving on a variety of different boards and leveraging her inspiring rise up the corporate ladder when she was speaking not only on behalf of her career but also on behalf of the importance of Latina empowerment. I want us to take a moment of silence to just remember Monica Martinez, who passed away last month. Monica Martinez of Comerica. Moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. So we, so we want to, not only just celebrate leaders such as Monica Martinez, but also, so many that have gone through the program and continue to not only give back, but also be the future inspiration of our next future generation of Latino leaders looking to rise up the corporate ladder. But just know that that whether you're in this year's cohort or you have been in previous cohorts, just know that ASED will always stand with you. ASED will always partner with you, and we want to continue to be a resource to you as you continue to rise up the corporate ladder. But that's all I want to share. I want to just tell you how excited I am for our 2021 cohort of our Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers. And again, a big thanks to all of our corporate partners. A big thanks to our team. I also do want to give a special recognition to La Doctora, Dr. Juana Bordas, who for many, many years has led our Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers over all these years. And I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to Dr. Juana Bordas for her support and her leadership. So without further ado, let me pass it on to Sylvia Perez Cash. Sylvia is our Senior Vice President of Operations at ASED, and she's going to take it from here for what will be a very inspiring evening for our award ceremony for our 2021 ASED Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers. Sylvia, take it away.
Hi, Sid. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank each of you who are joining us today on this virtual platform. I want to thank you for being a part of this celebration of the 2021 Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers cohort. I'd like to thank the companies that are investing in diverse leadership pipelines by supporting a YHCA finalist. And most importantly, I'd like to thank each and every member of the 2021 YHCA cohort for showing up, staying open-minded, and staying committed to making the very most of our hours upon hours upon hours of virtual time together. As Sid mentioned, we are extremely proud to introduce our 2021 HACER Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers, or HACER YHCA, as we affectionately call them. These young professionals were nominated by their companies as high potential corporate leaders for their work in their companies and in their communities. It has been a true honor and pleasure to lead these 46 amazingly talented and inspirational leaders through the YHCA program. We are excited to be celebrating their achievements and introducing you to them as the newest members of the ASER YHCA familia. Although you will only get to meet them virtually today, we look forward to meeting them in person at next year's HACER Executive Programs in Los Angeles. This year's cohort is a resilient group of professionals who initially thought they'd be joining us in person for their program in the June of 2020. Clearly, we all know how that turned out. Although we couldn't meet in person this spring, we carefully curated a virtual program that rivaled the experience that they would have gotten in person. This year, we leveraged the expanded accessibility and reach of our virtual platform to refresh our leadership advancement curriculum with nationally recognized experts in the areas of authentic leadership, emotional intelligence, effective communication, negotiations, personal branding, strategic board service, and corporate board readiness, just to name a few topics. We equally invested in creating intentional opportunities to build relationships between members of the cohort, and we hope that these relationships will support these dynamic individuals, these leaders, throughout the rest of their careers. In that regard, I'd like to give a special thank you to this year's facilitation partners, Carmen Bolivar from Live Light Counseling and Services, and Antonio Perales of Perales Consulting. You'll hear from them later. They helped execute HCA's vision of a high-energy, engaging virtual environment that responded to the personalities and interests of the group in order to achieve the networking goals of the YHCA program. There are many things that stand out about HCA's YHCA program. As the program manager for this year's cohort, I was keenly aware of the high standard of excellence I was charged with maintaining. I began the program focused on providing the best executive level leadership advancement training available. There is no doubt in my mind that the 2021 YHCA cohort possesses the tools, strategies, and perspectives needed to lead a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive corporate America. I was challenged by the opportunity to create the YHCA familia that every previous cohort has cherished. I soon realized, however, that YHCA, no matter its platform of delivery, would always feel like familia, because familia is what lives in spaces that are created for and by Latinx leaders. With YHCA, every cohort member has an invitation to be authentic, to show up and be embraced by the diversity of cultures and experiences that comprise our Latinx community. It's impossible to overemphasize the value of diverse and culturally authentic spaces. HCA's YHCA programs exemplifies that value every year for every participant from every company that participates. What you can see on your screen now are the words that the 2021 YHCA cohort finalists used to describe each other after conducting a peer interview project. Leader, determined, Latino, driven, creative, and more. These are words that capture the authentic leadership that embodies the 2021 HCA YHCA cohort. From my perspective, there are two additional characteristics I would like to take this opportunity to mention. The first is humor. If anyone can imagine investing a total of 5.5 hours at the end of your week for 12 weeks to both learn, share, and reflect while working from home, juggling work and staying accountable to your teams, juggling families, then you also know how important humor can be. This group started every session with something, a story, a text, a chat, a song that helped break the tension of the day and refocus our energy into our collective space. The second word I'll reference today is dedication. We all knew that, as with anything else, we would get from YHCA what we put into it. That's easier to do, frankly, when you sequester yourself in a hotel conference room without your work computer and with a cleared calendar. It's a lot harder to do from home offices with children and virtual meeting practices that, frankly, know very few boundaries. This year's cohort stepped up to the challenge. So what does this really mean? Why is HCA's YHCA program and this cohort especially so significant? Well, HCA is in the business of changing systems to include Hispanics throughout corporate America. But how does one change a system? HCA has an answer to that question. We change systems by changing people. We build allies by sharing best practices, data, and personal experiences around Hispanic inclusion. We break glass ceilings by empowering C-suite executives to succeed as their management roles become larger, more complex, and more nuanced. And we invest in the pipeline, the leaders that will not only fill the shoes of those who are leading the charge today, but also the leaders who will play a role in breaking down and rebuilding the system of leadership, partnership, and governance we need for our corporate America to reflect the value and meet the needs of all the people. Now, although I can talk about the HCA YHCA program all day, believe me, I really could, I would like to give you a small glimpse of what our talented leaders experienced during their time with us this spring. Here is a short video about HCA's YHCA program that further captures the spirit and significance of this initiative.
We're working to cultivate our young Hispanic corporate achievers, future emerging executive leaders, to be able to rise up the corporate ladder. We know that in addition to communicating with corporate America advocating to corporate America and calling for more Hispanic representation at all levels of their company. We also know that we want to be part of the solution by supporting the advancement of Hispanics rising up within the corporate ladder.
My name is Violeta Perez and I am with Intel. It's just amazing to be in a group of professional, successful Latinos that are also sharing in the same path, the same journeys, and also the same struggles. So it's been inspirational to see some of the things people have done in this group and what we can do together.
I didn't know what to expect when I came. I've only heard about the organization, that it's amazing, but I came here and I found not only very thoughtful content and amazing mentors, but a group of people, a group of friends now that I can count on.
So we're very proud of the fact that we have managed to successfully move leaders up the corporate ladder from young Hispanic corporate achievers to CEO levels.
When you were telling me today it was the first class?
This is you were the first class.
You were the first class.
Yes.
So look, it was great for me, particularly as we've seen the Latino community expand. Our leaders, not of the Latino community, our leaders of the United States are going to come out of our community. So the more we can do to make sure that we support them and nurture them and accelerate their growth, I think we're all going to benefit from it.
While we're bringing many Hispanic leaders and executives together, we know that when they go back to their corporations and into departments and divisions, they may be one of very few, possibly even the only Hispanic at their companies. And so we want to be sure that we're giving them all the tools and the expertise and the knowledge and the inspiration so that they can be outstanding representatives for Hispanics at their companies and being champions for Hispanics so that the next generation of Hispanic leaders can look to them as role models as they look to move up as well.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Now, I'd like to introduce Carmen Bolivar and Antonio Perales. As I mentioned, Carmen and Antonio were HACER's facilitation partners for this year's program. Their experience in team building, conversation guiding, and reflection ensured a dynamic and meaningful virtual environment in which we could all connect, relate, and learn together. Carmen and Antonio will share their reflections on this year's cohort. Carmen, Tony?
So my mute button was still on. It's the quote of 2020. This COVID will not end. Thanks, Tony.
I was here smiling.
And I was smiling and chatting. First, I just want to say thank you so much to ASED for having us here. My name is Carmen Bolivar. This is Antonio Perales. And for those sponsoring companies for investing in the YHCA or in this program and believing it in so much. Next, I want to say thank you to the cohort Los 46 for allowing us to be part of your experience. I'm both humbled and just very honored to have been able to work with you all and be in the presence of just such greatness. Even through this virtual experience, you all continue to be engaging and impressive, sharing with us your day, your stories, your little ones. I mean, I was super impressed with what you could do with a PowerPoint and 5 minutes. Like, I'll never look at bananas the same. I know way too much about Shakira. And I am 100% confident that you are not only the future of your companies, the legacies that you are building, they're the future of our community. And I am extremely proud of you all. And I can't wait to see and hear all of the amazing things that you will do from this point on and continue to cheer you on. Those are my short words. So congratulations and cheers to you all, Los 46. Tony?
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Carmen. First off, thank you to YHCA, to HACED, to the cohort, to Carmen. This has been a beautiful experience. And as I was talking with Carmen and we were thinking of our speeches, the thing that kept coming up to me in my mind was when you walk with a purpose, you collide with destiny. And I think that 2020 was one of those years that it made everybody look at life a little bit differently and maybe change a little bit of direction. But the beauty for Carmen and I is that it brought us to HACED and it brought us to this group. And we were along with you in this journey. The conversations that we had were inspiring. And as the group knows, I'm the emotional one. So I did shed some tears, but the reason why is because I'm just proud to be surrounded by so many talented individuals like you all. And I wish you all great success. And I hope to see you all soon. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Carmen, and thank you, Tony. I'm sure I speak for the entire YHCA cohort when I say you two are just amazing, and the experience wouldn't have been the same without you. Now it's my pleasure to welcome Cesar Trujillo. He will be one of two members of the 2021 cohort who will speak directly to us today about their experience. Cesar is described by his cohort as energetic, determined, and a leader. He is a senior vice president, a national implementation leader at Wells Fargo's bank. In this role, he leads various teams that integrate and maintain treasury management products, helping clients automate their payments, their payables and receivables business. Cesar works with middle market banking, small business, and wealth management business segments, and he has been at Wells Fargo for 16 years. In the community, Cesar serves on the board of directors for JBS SoCal and is the co-chair for that group's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Cesar also serves on the Wells Fargo's Enterprise Hispanic and Latino Connection Employee Resource Group as the finance chair. Please join me in welcoming Cesar to you today. Hi, Cesar.
Hello, hello. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the introduction. I wanted to start today by expressing my deep gratitude to the extraordinary leaders at the Hispanic Association on Corporate Responsibility for hosting an amazing Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers program this year. Sid and his team did a phenomenal job delivering best-in-class content to our cohort over the last several months, giving us the opportunity to engage with executive speakers and field experts, allowing us to expand on our professional, personal, and community development skills. YHCA is an incredible program that has given me the opportunity to reflect and make a greater impact at Wells Fargo and in the communities I serve in. I am grateful to Wells Fargo for continuing to invest in my professional and personal development, for me to participate in this remarkable program. My experience these last several months participating in YHCA has given me additional tools to be a better leader and an opportunity to reflect on who I am and how I can contribute more effectively to corporate America moving forward. I've had the privilege to learn an enormous amount that is so difficult for me to summarize in such a short time. More specifically, I've learned to embrace my authenticity as a Latino leader. I've learned the importance of personal branding through virtual and in-person interactions. I've learned the importance of emotional intelligence and how that plays a vital role in leading a team and being more inclusive. Additionally, the experiences that I've had the privilege to hear about and learn out of this incredible cohort of Latino leaders has had an everlasting impact on me, which I will touch on a little bit later. First, I will touch on the two most impactful sessions that I attended that had an important impact on me. One was a session we took on understanding your DISC profile with Dr. Bruce Cooper. The other was a session we had on the Latino experience in the United States with Dr. Juana Bordas. The DISC assessment really provided me the opportunity to reflect on who I am and what I bring to the table. It helped answer a few questions for me, like what drives me? What are key motivators or stressors that show up for me at work? And lastly, how can I build better relationships with others with opposite styles to enhance the overall relationships? When I received my results in my personal style that identify me as influence and dominance, or ID, for those of us in the cohort, I immediately wanted to learn more. People with ID style tend to be passionate, outspoken, enthusiastic, lively, and optimistic. This validated my goal-oriented nature and my expressive, passionate ways. It also reaffirmed my excitement for initiating change and my ability to take on new. But while it allowed me to reflect on my strengths, it also provided me great opportunity to reflect on how I can adapt and engage with others with opposing styles a little bit differently. I learned the importance of allowing more time for my brain to process prior to jumping into conclusions, and the importance of being patient with others that tend to be more analytical. I also learned that being outspoken can also be perceived as challenging, and it is important for me to engage with a strong balance. This assessment gave me the opportunity to reflect on how I can show up differently, to build better relationships, and continue to leverage my strengths and be impactful in my relationships moving forward. This assessment will be incredibly important for me as I continue to navigate through corporate America and take on new challenges for years to come. As I reflect on Dr. Borda's session on the Latino experience in the United States, this session helped me gain a better appreciation of my own Latino identity and my Latino values. We took a journey through the history of Latinos and explored the Latino community timeline in the United States over the last century, giving me additional insight on who we are as Latinos. This helped me understand my personal history and what values or strengths I bring to the table. As I reflected on my journey, I understood that my journey started in 1969 when my father, a 15-year-old boy, left everything he had in Mexico to come to the United States in pursuit of a better future. He worked tirelessly in the fields of Northern California as a strawberry picker, earning $1.25 an hour, but his determination to learn English and commitment to do better eventually led him to Southern California, where he would join the hospitality industry and start his family. What I've learned about this journey is enormous sacrifice, unwavering drive, and courage that my father must have had to take such leap of faith as a 15-year-old boy. This helped me understand where the strengths I inherited from my family come from, how I can continue to leverage those strengths today to show up as my complete, authentic self. This story is part of my identity and who I am. As I had the opportunity to share this story with my cohort, I learned very quickly that this story is one that we all have in common. While it may not be the exact same story, we all have a story that has led us to this place today. Several of the leaders in this cohort have had similar journeys, which have helped catapult them to achieving their own goals and giving them the conviction that they needed to make an impact. What I learned from this session was that we have to understand what our past has been so we can extract from our past and ultimately help shape the future that we want for ourselves. We all have history, and having the opportunity to dig deep and understand our own journey through this history has been powerful and an enriching experience for me. To my amazing cohort, los 46 en cuarentena, or the 46 in quarantine, I am incredibly honored to have been given this opportunity to speak on the group's behalf. It's an extraordinary group of 46 amazing, inspiring, talented Latinx professionals making a significant difference today in every corner of our country, impacting communities across the entire United States. The experiences and accomplishments these folks bring to the forefront in corporate America is absolutely incredible. I felt an immediate connection with all of you from the first day we had a chance to meet. And while yes, our roots may be slightly different, our Latino identity, similar backgrounds, and unified goal of making this a more inclusive society for our future generations to come is what bonds us together. Our society is demanding for us to keep progressing forward. Our generation has the ability to make an impact on our future and continue the mission YHCA aims to fulfill of expanding Hispanic inclusion in corporate America. While we all come from different places, different communities, different countries with different experiences, it was clear to me we all have a common vision to make an impact and contribute to corporate America. The stories of perseverance, dedication, and commitment to make a difference was inspiring. We have folks on this cohort leading significant businesses in their respective industries at their companies today. We have folks as head of their company's employee resource groups. We have folks that serve on multiple nonprofit boards, and even some that have started their own nonprofit organization to lead the change in their community. We also have folks that have started businesses, sold off businesses, and are in pursuit of new opportunities. As I wrap up, and I want to close with what I look forward to next. Today, all of us are here because we have committed to being better in hopes of a better future for our companies and our society. We're all seeking the same and are here to support a more inclusive world. I've had the distinct honor of participating in this YHCA program with a cohort of 45 others that are extraordinary in their own rights. And I want to leave this final session with this group. Feeling inspired and motivated for the future. While there's still a lot of work to be done, I do believe the time to continue to progress forward is today. I look forward to continue to leverage this incredible network of executive leaders as we carry on with our lives of lifting each other, supporting one another, and encouraging each other to bring our own authentic leadership styles as Latinos to the forefront of corporate America. The future is today. Our personal journeys have intersected today, and I walk away radically optimistic about the future of tomorrow. Thank you.
Cesar, I have to say, I love that final term, radically optimistic. Wonderful. Thank you for commenting today. Thank you for sharing your story, not just with your cohort during our session, but with all of us here again today. I think your story, just like all of our stories, is meaningful and touching and deserves to be spoken, deserves to be recognized, and is a part of who we are as leaders and as people and today's society. So thank you, Cesar. Now, it is my pleasure to welcome our second 2021 cohort speaker, Keisha Camps. 3 words to describe Keisha are innovative, passionate, and driven. She deeply believes in following her passions to show up as an authentic leader. Keisha is an engineering group manager for General Motors Body Power Closures team. In this role, she's responsible for leading a team that is implementing technologies that will improve the customer experience with their front and rear closures. Keisha is also passionate about promoting STEM careers, and in 2015 founded the first all-girls robotics team through First Robotics called the Mercy Midnight Storm. The first team, I'm assuming, in the Detroit area. The young women she started the program with are from the Detroit area and are now entering top universities to study engineering. Please join me in welcoming Keisha with us today. Hi, Keisha.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I want to start off by thanking those that have made today possible. Thank you to YHCA for establishing a program that celebrates the achievements of young Hispanic professionals. Thank you to General Motors for nominating me to be a part of this game-changing program. And thank you to the YHCA 2021 class, Los 46 en Cuarentena, the 46 in quarantine, for nominating me to speak on behalf of our cohort. I am honored and humbled. This program has touched all of us in unique ways. We started, like Cesar said, by learning about Hispanic culture to make us even more proud of our heritage. I didn't think that was possible because, let me tell you, Hispanics are proud of where we come from, but YHCA made it happen. Many of us didn't feel boldly comfortable saying we're Hispanics in first interactions, but many of us proudly will moving forward. So today, I proudly tell you that I am a Boricua from Puerto Rico, raised in Puerto Rico and in the United States, living in Michigan, where I am raising a Michigander with Boricua roots from her mom and dad. And I couldn't be prouder of my Boricua roots and the gifts that my daughter will inherit from those roots. When we reflected on our Latino experience in the US as a cohort, we learned that we come from many different places, from all over the world. The cohort is made up of people from Peru, Colombia, Mexico, Venezuela, Brazil, Cuba, Ecuador, El Salvador, Argentina, and Puerto Rico, to name a few. We also learned the gifts that we inherited from those that shaped who we are today. We inherited drive, pride, loyalty, a spirit of sacrifice and service, humility, resilience, and a seguir pa'lante, to always move forward, to name a few of the many beautiful gifts that we've received. Throughout this program, we got to know each other personally, and I got to witness firsthand and to be inspired by your work ethic, the dedication you have for your families, your resiliency and passions. Many of us are parents. Many of us are first-time parents in a pandemic, which is unique to say the least. Many of us give back to our communities and the next generation of Hispanics. Many of you are small business owners, came from poverty and wars, and are now on boards and leaders in your industries. To say I'm inspired by everything that you do is an understatement. A unique takeaway from this program is the network that we now have, not just within our cohort, but also with past cohorts and the presenters that we learned so much from. I can't wait to see what emerges from this network. I see new businesses on the horizon. I see us helping each other advance our careers and our Latino agenda. I am actually already seeing the outcome of the strategic leadership learnings from this program. It was inspiring to learn about the Hispanics that have paved a path towards corporate boards. They paved a path that we should take advantage of. The session on board readiness gave me a new sense of drive to continue to seek for opportunities, not just within the industry I'm part of, but also to think about how I can expand Latino representation in underrepresented areas like boards. I was inspired to see that some of you also felt that sense of drive and have obtained the opportunity already to serve on boards with a mission that aligns with your values. The program is just coming to an end and it's already blossoming change. I am also looking forward to getting to know each other even better. In this virtual space, we all crave for more interactions, and I hope that we stay in touch to make a live reunion possible someday. Even though we've been virtual, I have already felt comfortable reaching out to many of you for advice, and I want you to know that I am here for each of you for anything that you need. I learned of something at the beginning of this program that has truly stuck with me throughout, and it's that in 2050, more than 55% of American workers will be Hispanic. I am a firm believer that having examples to look up to makes dreams feel attainable. If they did it and they look like me, I can do it too. That statistic made me realize another reason why I work so hard every day. If I want to be a part of creating a more equal and diverse future, I have to realize that I am one of those examples that people are looking up to. All of us are an example. This program has given us tools to better understand where we come from, better understand the many possibilities ahead, so that we can keep paving a path that we're creating for the first time, so that others can walk that path. Class of YHCA 2021, sigamos trabajando fuerte. Let's keep working hard, siendo auténticos, being our authentic Hispanic selves. And let's change the face of corporate America. Thank you.
Thank you, Keisha, and thank you for that call to action. You are an example. This cohort is an example. The YHCA Alumni Network are examples, and you're correct. It matters who you see in leadership roles. It changes what you think is possible. Thank you so much for sharing your reflections with us today on behalf of the whole. Now that you've met two of our 2021 YHCA YHCAers, it's time to meet them all. We are pleased to officially introduce our 2021 YHCA Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers.
All right. Well, wasn't that amazing? That was inspiring. And once again, congratulations to the 2021 I said Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers, and welcome to the YHCA Familia 400 Executive Strong. You are now a member of this very special alumni network, and we look forward to hearing more great things in the years to come from our YHCAers. So I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker. And he's someone that truly exemplifies not only the excellence of who we have rising up the corporate ladder, but the fact that that he is one member that's also alumni of our program. Juan Jose Perez, affectionately known as JJ, he is the president for Nationwide Financial Corporate Solutions division of Nationwide Financial Insurance Company. He began his career at Nationwide in 2009, and since joining, he has worked in the general counsel's office, strategy, operations, and finance. And in 2015, he was selected to serve as chief of staff for the president of the Financial Services Division. Now, of course, he's the president of Nationwide Financial Corporate Solutions. And most importantly, JJ is a member of the ACER Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers from the class of 2017. And so we are just so proud to have JJ back as our keynote speaker. So please, everybody, welcome JJ from Nationwide. Thank you, JJ, for joining us.
So glad to be here. Thank you, Sid. Really a pleasure to get to speak to all of you. For any of you that have not had interactions with HACER prior to being a YHCA member, I encourage you to maintain the involvement that you've had and the interactions that you've had. HACER and the organizations, the nonprofit organizations that are connected to HACER, are doing so much in the community across the nation for Latinos everywhere. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you today and really get to offer my congratulations, as everybody has so far. This is a celebration. We're celebrating you. It's an honor to even be selected for the YHCA. And in my opinion, it's an accomplishment to fully engage in the vulnerability of the YHCA process with your group. That was one of the things that struck me most going through the YHCA process. YHCA members are rising stars within the corporate leadership. And I'm sure your experience was much like mine. You get into the group and you're like, these folks are very impressive. That's the commonality here. There's a bit of intimidation for me. There was a bit of nervousness. I tend to be a little bit introverted. And just respect for the group that HACER had done a wonderful job of bringing together. For me, it was Detroit in 2017. And I was so thankful to be there and get to share the opportunity with them. People who are selected for the YHCA program are selected because they're leaders not only in the business environment, but they're also leaders in the community. And that's very much so representative of our values as Latinos. You know, you think about the United States and you look back at the culture, and especially the business culture and corporate culture, has historically been one that values individualism. And at times, if we're assimilating into that culture, we're really leaving some of the best parts of ourselves behind. We can see, those of us over the last year, that corporate America is now becoming woke, is the word that I would use, to the Latino style of leadership. Namely, that business and community are one. They are not separate. You see corporate America taking positions on issues that affect us all from a social justice perspective. Corporate America integrating our work and our home lives with everything happening on the remote environment. When I was in YHCA in 2017, one of the things that stuck with me the most, because it was definitely what I saw my father do, and definitely something that was part of my values, was when Dr. Juana Bordas talked about the fact that we are a collectivist culture that is about the we. That really resonated with me. And in some ways, it really clicked with me that this is something that I've not been seeing a lot in my multiple experiences in corporate America at that time, that is really, really critically important to me in my authentic leadership. I learned from Dr. Juana Bordas that Latinos create coalitions to drive change. That's what we're doing here with HACER. That's the platform that HACER is creating with the 400 Executive Strong. That's what YHCA is, and the programs that this program leads into are creating a coalition for us to move the needle on Hispanic executives within corporate America, but also longer term Hispanic executives that are getting to the level that we saw in the video. Cesar Conde, chairman, CEO, on the board of directors, bringing that perspective to make a change in corporate America. One of the best parts about being part of the YHCA alumni network is you now have primos everywhere. Everywhere you go. I go to Alpha conferences, Prospanica conferences, Unidos conference right before the pandemic, and I see YHCA alum that I know. And I don't know they're going to be there. We probably need to do a better job of connecting with each other beforehand and making sure everybody knows. But I feel like I have familia everywhere. And it's really a special thing to be a part of this network. One of the things that I think is most special about the YHCA network is the fact that it makes us aware of something that is just, it's inside of us and it's innate in us, but it brings it to the forefront. So for me in my career, I didn't recognize that my values were different than what I was seeing in corporate America in a lot of ways. Whether it was the fact that I felt it was so important to make people feel comfortable to welcome people, just like all of us probably experienced in our YHCA program and have experienced at events that we've gone to in the Latino corporate environment. I didn't recognize that, creating coalitions and creating groups was something that I learned from my father and I'd learned from my grandparents that wasn't necessarily always happening in corporate America, but could offer a lot of value. These are a couple of the reasons that knowing where this comes from and why it is important, why Hispanic values and perspective are critically important to corporate America is so important in the process of it. I loved when Dr. Bordas for me said, if you look at the Latino community, the different countries we come from, the different languages that are spoken, the different roots of origin, there are many of them, but there's also so much commonality. And in many ways, the Hispanic culture and the Hispanic community is an example of what the broader America can be and the power of the broader America if it's able to bring out more of that style within corporate America. A friend of mine that recruited me into Nationwide, Rich Gandarias, said it well when I was having lunch with him, and it was really one of the big things that brought me to Nationwide. He said, so many times we talk about America being a melting pot. And he said, a melting pot doesn't sound like something that has a lot of flavor. He said, I like to think of America, and for me, the Latino community's representative of this is really more of a beef stew. You've got the broth, you've got the things that bring us all together, but you've also got the chunks. And the different elements of that beef stew are the things that add the most flavor and the most excitement, the most enjoyment. The things that are different about us are some of the things that can help us achieve the best results. I'd like to take a few minutes just to give you a little bit of my background and my journey, both before and after YHCA. I'm the son of a migrant worker. My father was a third generation migrant worker, much like Cesar's story in his remarks. And I never really realized how much that impacted me. My mother's side of the family were factory workers. My father was the first in his family to graduate high school. My grandparents actually moved to Toledo and took jobs working in the auto parts industry. So my father could go to one high school rather than moving 3 and 4 times a year. First in his family to graduate high school, went to college and was the first in his family to graduate college. And then when I was born, when I turned 2, he went to law school at night while working 2 jobs. And I remember seeing it, being with my mother and mostly seeing her around, not seeing my father a lot when he was in law school and working. And I remember knowing that he was doing it for us. And that really, really made an impact on me. And that's just one example of how I watched him go through his career, push for something bigger, something better, and then use that platform to push back into the community. So an example of that is he was a founding member of the Ohio Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which is a critical organization within Ohio now. I remember going into his law office and seeing him with a dozen Latinos around the table from all over Ohio, getting this off the ground. And I didn't recognize until I went through YHCA that that's how Latinos work. That's how we make change. And it was an example to me. With my father's story of becoming an attorney, I always wanted to share that with him. And my dad's advice was, well, go get some business experience first and then go to law school. It will really add value to your legal education. So I began my career at a startup software company as a solutions engineer. I worked there 3 years, And then I got to the point where I was making enough money where I was like, I don't know that I want to leave to go to law school if I continue to advance in this job. So I need to go now. And applied to law school, loved it. Law school was a fantastic fit for me. And while I was in law school, I had the opportunity to intern at Nationwide and loved the culture here at Nationwide. I interned an undergrad at another Fortune 100 company. I won't say the name, but I was surprised at how many people I met that were really working every single day so that they could go home and do the things they wanted to do. Work was not something they wanted to do. It was a paycheck. And I was passionate that, you know, the shoulders that I stand on, my grandparents who came over from Mexico, my father who made a lot of sacrifices pursuing his education, it was not something where I was going to not enjoy my job. I think their goal was that I could do something where I would very much enjoy it and be able to pay for it into my community and use it as a platform. So I wanted to pursue something that I was going to enjoy, and I saw that in my internship here at Nationwide. Out of law school, I got into a general counsel rotation program where I moved into different areas. You see those at a lot of the companies nowadays for different disciplines. And I had the opportunity to take a non-legal rotation as part of the general counsel program. For my non-legal rotations, I pursued the opportunity to rotate through corporate strategy. I said, you know, at the software company, if I could get the 50,000-foot view of the company, I could add a lot of value, understanding dynamics that weren't apparent just in the role that I was in. And taking that jump, moving outside of general counsel for rotation, was the first time I really pursued a passion within a corporate setting. And it paid off. For me, it showed me how much I enjoyed the strategy work, how much, you know, for me, I said, I really, really want to stay here. I love the practice of law, it fits me very well, but I would love to be able to maintain this perspective on corporate America. I was able to work out a full-time opportunity in corporate strategy, and a Nationwide executive came to me and said, you know, software, legal strategy, that's a very interesting background. What's next? And I said, I'm embarrassed to tell you this. This is an executive vice president in the company. I don't know about you, but I think that God works things out the way they're supposed to happen. But I do think we have a very big part in taking the steps along that path. I don't know why an EVP comes to somebody who's a director level and says, you know, what are you trying to accomplish with your career? But he said, you know, somebody early on in my career took me through a career planning process that helped me get to where I am today. I'd be willing to do that with you. And I was floored. And I told my dad, I said, I don't think I can pass this up. I took him up on the opportunity. And what I can tell you is that career plan was a hugely pivotal moment for me. It allowed me to take control of my career. And I will tell you, going through the process, there was a part of me that said, I don't really want to put myself out there. I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to take the risk involved with having these conversations with an EVP. But it made all the difference in the world. What I found in that is something that I knew about myself, much like the YHCA learnings, that I'm entrepreneurial by nature. Every person on my father's side of the family started a business. And that's something that I'm still looking for, or I was still looking for. And part of that process was, he said, you know, pretend that it's 30 years from now, you're retiring from Nationwide, you're hanging up your hat saying it's been a great career. What's the job you're retiring from? And I said, I want to lead, I want to report to the CEO leading a division of the company. That was a take-home assignment. I reflected on it. And the second question he had me take home was, what are the experiences that you would need to make you great at that job? And for me, I said, you know, I've learned about myself through the programs that I've been through, that I love learning to the point where it's uncomfortable. The example that I use with folks when I'm talking to them is it's almost like I'm drowning and I can just keep my nose above the water. For some reason, that's where I'm most excited, I'm most engaged. I said, I would love to have different experiences around the leadership team table so that when we're executing a strategy, when we're putting a strategy out there, I can relate to and empathize with the implications of that strategy around all the seats at the table. That's not something that's for everybody, but that was what excited me. And so I took that strategy experience and I jumped into a director role within operations here in our retirement plans division. That move got noticed. I was supporting Kurt Walker, who was the head of our financial services division at the time. Again, the job that I wanted. And one of the things I told my HR partner was, I don't really know. I want that job, but I don't know what that means. I don't know what happens behind the scenes. I don't know what that means nights and evenings. I don't know what the implications are for my family. I'd love to have this chief of staff role. We have these here at Nationwide where you can get the behind the scenes view. You support that leader, basically provide leverage to them, help them do more than they could do without this role, take things off their plate. I'd love to have that chief of staff role working in more of an administrative capacity for Kurt and really get a feel for what is it that I'm aspiring to. I was selected for that role. That was really a highlight of my career. Could not have enjoyed more working for a leader like Kurt and learning from him directly. And out of that program or that opportunity, the CFO of Nationwide Financial said, you know, the right hand of every business person is their finance person. Why not look for an opportunity to rotate through finance? Get a job in finance, get the finance perspective. That'll prepare you well for the business leadership position you're aspiring to. I spent the last 4 years in finance in a couple of different roles, and I can tell you that it was a steep learning curve at first from the background that I had. I've always liked math, always liked finance, always liked money, but it was a steep learning curve. But it was one of the places I was most engaged. And when this role came open, the role that I'm in now is president of Corporate Solutions. Corporate Solutions is a portfolio of our smaller but higher growth businesses within Nationwide. We have 4 different businesses that are in different product lines. If you want to learn more, I'm not going to go through all the detail here, but it is out on my LinkedIn profile. And it's an area where I get to be very entrepreneurial. I get to focus on the things that I worked on at a startup software company, setting a strong foundation for growth. And I get to make the decisions that a business leader makes in a corporate setting. So it really is, for me, the ideal job and something I couldn't be more excited about. That's a bit about me. I would love to take the opportunity to help you understand what to expect in corporate America along your path, and kind of what I've learned along my way. One, we all need help to get by. So I talked about, you know, the individualist culture of the United States. I would encourage you to build relationships, build them often. That's something that my father said to me when I got here at Nationwide. He said, there's a book out there. He's like, I didn't really like the book, but the title will tell you everything you need to know. The title of the book is Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. And he said, when you get to Nationwide, start developing relationships early and often. And don't develop relationships because of what those people can do for you. Develop the relationship for the sake of the relationship. And you never know when those folks are going to need you or when you're going to need them. And I'll tell you that that has made all the difference for me, not only in my success at work, but the enjoyment that I get out of my job. Building those relationships has taught me so much. I get so many nuggets from having lunch with different people. The goal that I set for myself back in 2019 was 3 different lunches with different people every week. And as you can imagine, between 2019 and 2021, that's a lot of lunches, a lot of different people. I've learned a lot from just understanding folks, talking to them, learning about their story, their path. And what is probably even more valuable is it's created opportunities for me to pay it forward, for me to invest in other people. These nuggets that I've been able to gather have allowed me to invest in others. You know, I didn't really have the reflection until probably 3 years ago that when you come from a blue collar background, and I would say migrant work and factory work is blue collar, you don't get a lot of, your parents don't, your grandparents don't get a lot of education around how to navigate corporate America. And we don't get to watch our parents navigate corporate America when you come from that kind of setting. We learn a lot of great values. We learn a fantastic work ethic, but it is something that we kind of have to learn on the job. And I've learned so much about that I love to have the opportunity to pay it forward. In my time at Nationwide, one of the things that I'm most excited about is the opportunity to make an impact on Latino leadership here. And I think one of the things that's most important around that is something that I know you all learned regarding authentic leadership. As I've grown and I continue to get more and more comfortable with this. And that doesn't mean that I haven't led with my authentic self. You know, in my time here at Nationwide, I recognized that early on and I pushed into it. And I think it's made all the difference in the world. But I haven't always been comfortable with it. For better or worse, one of my phrases for myself is fake it until you make it. Be yourself. If it doesn't feel comfortable, you know, feel out the environment, but continue to be yourself until it feels comfortable. And I'm getting more and more comfortable with it. And it's a fantastic thing because I get to mentor folks that can tell me, you know, my name's Andres and I go by Andrew because I don't think people can pronounce my name. And I get to help them have courage in the fact that you don't have to do that, one. 2, you know, there's a lot of opportunity for you here. And let me help you understand how I was able to navigate and pay forward some of the nuggets that were invested in me. As I've looked back over my time in corporate America, some of the values that I brought to my authentic leadership that has been most important are 1, family first, community, the collective good and service to others, things that I'm sure that you talked about in the YHCA program, my work ethic, and not forgetting my roots. I've never been embarrassed by my roots. I've always been very proud of them. but remembering the sacrifices that were made to get me to where I am today, and respecting those sacrifices. I'd like to mention a book that was a big help to me. It's called How You Measure Your Life. It was written by a gentleman who actually passed in May of last year, right as the pandemic was kicking off. His name's Clayton Christensen. He wrote the book that kind of cracked open all the innovation you see today. It's called The Innovator's Dilemma, written in 1997. But how will you measure your life is all about having a strategy for your life. And it's a self-help book, but really it's the DNA of it is in very strong strategy principles. And what I learned from that book, I actually read it right when I got into corporate strategy because I wanted the primer on strategy. And it is was you have to understand in your life, one, what are you trying to accomplish with your career? What does success look like? When you look back 35 years from now, what does success look like? And then two, what is most important to you? And then three, this is an ongoing process. Your most precious resource is your time. Is the way that you're investing your time aligned to what you're saying is most important to you? Because if it's not, you may get to the end of your career and say, I thought I was on the path to success, but this is not what I wanted success to be. When I've been asked the question of, what do you want your legacy to be in an interview? My comment back has been, business results are critically important. It's why we have the seat that we have. You have to get business results at the table stakes. But I also think business results are something that you move to the next year and folks are saying, what have you done for me lately? What I want my legacy to be is I want the folks that work with me to be able to say, I was better off because I had the opportunity to work with him. Whether it was the way that he supported my personal life, whether it was the way that he supported me in my career, whether it was the way that he made me feel important when other people didn't make me feel important. That's what I want my legacy to be. And I say that because I think that's true. That was when I came to the YHCA program, there were so many individuals there, so many professionals there where we could relate on that common goal amongst all of us. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that you should enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. It's more important than the destination. You're going to spend most of your time in the journey. And that's something that I learned as I went through that wrestling process of how you measure your life. If I could leave you with three key takeaways, it would be this. One, be intentional about building relationships in community. Don't let it be passive. Put a goal out there for yourself like I did and execute that goal. What it will do is, as an introvert, I didn't love meeting 3 people a day over lunch. It got me more comfortable with the process. But what it did was it created a platform of relationships where I can help others. And that is helping others is something I will run through walls to accomplish. 2, deliberately reflect on what long-term success looks like for you. Coming out of this program is the ideal time to do that. And I know that many of you probably wrote personal mission statements like we did when I was there. Take the opportunity to reflect. I highly suggest How We Measure Your Life. If I was seeing you in person, I keep copies around to give to people. I'd give you a copy right now. Very easy read. Read it and reflect on your career. What does success look like long-term? The reason that's so important is because I lastly encourage you to take control of your career. If you don't know where you want to go, you don't know if you're going to get there. When I first came to Nationwide, an executive said to me, if you do good work at Nationwide, people are going to want to get you to where you want to go. The most important thing, though, is you have to know where you want to go. If you don't know where you want to go, people don't know how to help you get there. If you take control of your career, you know what you want, you're able to articulate that, people are going to want to honor your good work by helping you get there. And for me, the best part about it is you can use where you are to help others and pay it forward. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I hope I can see you all there in Los Angeles next year, spend some time with you one-on-one. I'd like to close with just saying, if connect with me on LinkedIn. If there's ever anything I can do to help you, reach out. We don't have met before. If there's something that you want to bounce off me, if you're throwing your hat in at Nationwide, whatever it is, I'm here and I'm happy to help. And thank you to Sid and the YHCA team for having me here to speak with you, and a wonderful executive program over the last 2 days.
That was inspiring. Again, a big thank you, JJ Pettis, for not only for your leadership and success at at Nationwide, but also really being a beacon of where YHCAers can go within their career. And a huge salute for all of your professional achievements and for staying close to our roots and showing and just being representing. So again, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Super proud of JJ Perez, President of Nationwide Financial Corporate Solutions at Nationwide Financial. So this concludes our formal program. Of course, we're going to have a nice virtual gathering here, but just a few things I just want to just wrap up as we conclude our formal program. One is that we encourage all of our YHCAers to stay in contact. As JJ mentioned, LinkedIn is certainly a great source. Make sure you stay in contact with ACED and our team. A big thanks to our ACED team for putting this together. Thanks for all of our sponsors, but most importantly, thanks to all of you for really stepping forward, not only to commit to advancing Hispanic inclusion at your companies and throughout corporate America, but also continue to making sure that we keep that baton, passing it down to the next generation who are rising up. We've been doing our Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers program since 2007, and it's always great to see how everyone continues to stay active and involved, serving as mentors, sponsors, and just being there to make sure that we're together as we help to lift each other up as we rise up the corporate ladder. So thank you for that. Just some other minor housekeeping is that our 2022 Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers program cohort will open up on July the 1st. And then we encourage everyone to join us in Los Angeles, California, at the Intercontinental Los Angeles downtown for our 2022 ACED executive programs. We will also have our 2022 Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers program happening in person there. It'll be a little bit of a hybrid between virtual and then in person, but it's going to promise to be a great gathering. And it's just great to see everyone come together. We hope that you join us. So please save that date, June 6th through 8th, 2022, for our executive programs and our Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers. And then again, for those companies that wish to nominate for the 2022 cohort, it opens up July 1st, it closes in September, and then we'll announce the 2022 cohort of our Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers, for which we, as I said earlier, we are expanding that bandwidth. So once again, I want to thank everyone for joining us here today, and thank you for your support of the Hispanic Association on Corporate Responsibility. We hope you stay in contact with us and continue to stay involved and make sure that we continue to advance Hispanic inclusion in corporate America, because together we will all rise. Together we can all make a difference. Together we can move the needle to make sure that Latinos are represented in all areas of corporate America, from the ground level to mid-level to senior levels to the corporate board of directors. But this is going to be part of that initiative that we must do, but it'll all take all of us continue to stay together on this. So again, thank you very, very much. And with that, nos vemos muy pronto, and we will see you all in our virtual reception. Thank you, and have a great night.